Agile. We'll talk about what Agile is here in this one, and then we'll talk about why we need to go Agile. What are the advantages of Agile? So what is Agile? So Agile development is basically, it's simply put, a practice-based methodology. You're talking about a practice. It's not a process. It's not something like a document that was written. This is how it should be done. Not like that. It's something which is practiced by the team on the floor of the work. It's not about being actually dictated by the boss about something that you should do like this. It's something which is evolved from the team, by the team, and for the team. Yeah. So it's primarily focused on the development and delivery of software-based systems. And now most of the businesses also, business teams, like even the trade, I've worked in banks, even some of the banks, investment banking, trading, all the trading floors and the traders and the brokers, all of them had been adapting some of the practices, if not the entire Agile, like the daily stand-ups, for instance, the review, the sprint review. They're really adopting that, and use of Jira, for instance, very, very, very popular. So within no time, we're actually talking about pretty much 60 to 80% of the organizations across different levels, different departments, different teams, whether it's finance, marketing, HR, all of them talking about Agile and using Agile in their work, whatever it could be. So business actually is using Agile. It's a no-brainer for technology. As you know, it's already in now. And in terms of so what is Agile? It's iterative. Number one, it's an iterative approach. And it's not just iterative. You're not delivering the same thing, same old thing time and again. It's not about doing that bit like a circle, changing it again, work on this, change, work on this, change. No, it's actually, you're delivering the small little iteration, the circles of value incrementally. So you're actually delivering this, and then this gets really bigger. Then your product increment is actually kind of increasing. You're actually stepping up. So it's an incremental as well. You're not doing the same thing again and again and again, which is just iterative, but you're also incrementally developing something. That's important. It's iterative as well as incremental. So you started off in the example that we've been working on since the last couple of days about the e-commerce website to sell mobile accessories. In that context, it could be, as we say, it could just be the initial requirements could be just about having the user stories in the epic level. From there on, you take one and then you prioritize. You say that in this sprint, we deliver this set of functionality. And then you say that, well, for the first sprint, let's focus on just having for example, showing the products, the items as a catalog. So that's the first sprint. If you can achieve that, where you can show just that bit, I think it's done. You can deliver that. In the second sprint, you should be able to actually have the ability to select an item and add it to the cart. So that's the second sprint. So you know what, by the end of the second sprint, you actually have something that you can go to the market, that you can actually sell to your customers or show to your customers saying, hey, by the way, use this new website. We're working on this. Here you can look at all our products, all the catalog of all our mobile accessories, the screen protectors and the cases, phone cases for all devices, not just mobile phones, but also tablets. And here you can actually get to see the description. You can look at the reviews. You can see all these images of how does that look like, the 360-degree angle, the 360-degree rotation of that particular thing. How does that look like, a 3D view? And you know what? You can also add it to your shopping cart. And once you add it, you cannot pay it online. That's there's one problem now. We're working on that. But you know what? Just call us or send an email of that particular page link, and I'll work on that and we'll deliver it to you. So you can still have a go-to-market just with that functionality in 2 sprints, which is what I'm talking about, roughly a month and a half. That's the beauty of Agile. You don't have to wait for 2022 to actually deliver some fantastic looking website. You know what, by that time, you never know what could happen. You might not even have the mobile phone then. Perhaps people will be talking in there with embedded chips in their phones, in their hands. So that could be one of the solutions that Agile brings in. So the beauty with Agile is that you could actually have something shipped out immediately without having to wait for the perfect moment, for the perfect product till it works beautifully across all the platforms and all that stuff. Still, you can say that, you know what, the problem is because of the fact that we are having mobile first approach, You can use this, the application, the e-commerce website we're developing, you can use it only on your mobile phones first. It could work on iOS. If you've got iOS and Android, it works on that. Sorry, no Windows. That's fine. So that's fine. That's a good starting point for you to actually go to the customers and get their feedback and tell them that you're actually caring for them, that you wanted to develop something that they can use. You're helping them. And in the process, there's a communication that is happening. There's a channel that you opened up with the customers, and they're more than happy to give you the feedback on almost on a daily basis or a weekly basis. And then as and when they use this product, they're just at this point of time only able to add the items from the catalog into the shopping cart and deliver in the cart. That's it. All they could do is only this. Fair enough. You still have that option, right? You still can do that without any problem. Obviously, that needs to work. It should not have bugs, or even if it has got any defects, you can fix that. That's the advantage with having the customer, having the product out of your door to the customer's desk or the lab. So it's just available on the phone. Fair enough. That's a good starting point. That's called what we call in Agile terms as MVP. That's called minimum viable product. So what is it that you need to have this product out into the hands of the customers on their mobile phones as a first cut? That's called first cut or MVP. So we say that we need to have these items shown in a catalog. Click on these items. I should be able to know see the details of the item, look at the screen protector, images, how does it look like, the 3D version of it, maybe some of the reviews of the other customers who bought it, or maybe I can also show them the phones or the accessories that fit in, all that stuff. Or you can also look at associated people who have looked at this also bought this kind of recommendations. So all of this could be shown, and then you can actually give them option to buy or add this to the cart. They cannot complete it. They cannot complete and make the purchase. That's fair enough. That's a good starting point for us. And from there on, we can actually work on this and say, hey, you know what? After the sprint 2, we can work on this and make it available on the web, for instance, if that is the priority from the business. If the business thinks it's okay, don't bother. We don't have many customers who are using the browser, but the browser on their desktop or PC, but about 70% of the people are still using mobile phones to do all this. If that's what the business says from the research, then you don't even have to worry about the web browser compatibility and testing it on Chrome, on Mac OS or Windows. You don't have to worry about it. You just need to focus on the mobile one because that's the priority. And then you can, after the sprint 3 and the sprint 4, you then work on creating the purchase between the shopping cart and this. So now at this point of time, you can actually go to the market and say, just in 2 months, hey, you know what? We've got this fantastic feature. Now you can purchase everything online, not just stop at the shopping cart and send us a mail. You don't have to send the email to us any longer. All you need to do is to just click on the purchase now, and then that would take us to a partner, which is the WorldPay or something, some digital processing platform. And from there, we can actually kind of get the whole application. We can complete the processing of the payment and you get the receipt, right? So this is what you're talking about. You're actually talking about delivering the functionality that matters to the customer, that gives the most bang for the buck for the customers, the business value for the customers. And you're delivering that in phases, in a few weeks or in few months, and not in the year and a half that I was talking about with the waterfall. So here, actually, let's say by December, this customer could actually kind of not just add the items to the cart, but also they can complete the processing, the payment as well. But then the order processing and the rest of the notifications might not be still automated. That could be done later. We can work on that on Agile mode, and we can do that work in the background, and we can complete that, let's say, by April 2021. So it's a fully automated e-commerce functionality, not just about placing the order and selecting the items in the catalog, adding them to the cart, and then from the cart to the payment processing, from the payment processing to the communication about the order, about saying that, hey, we've got the order, it's on delivery. So all of that stuff. So you're really talking about slicing and dicing the functionality that you're giving to the customer and making sure that they're getting the first value, the most important, most urgent of that immediately, instead of waiting for a year and a half. They don't have to have the long waits. So that's what Agile brings in. It does break the things into smaller portions, as in the context of The Scrum, it's called sprint. So a sprint is that kind of a small little time box. It's called time box again. So the time box of that, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 1 week. If it's a small project, every week you can deliver something. Or it could be, if it is a fairly complex one, you can have for 4 weeks a sprint. So it depends on the complexity or the type of the project. Sometimes you can have between 1 week and 4 weeks. The team completely works on that. And then once they complete the work, it is in a stage of actually taking to the market. And that's what we were talking about, back to the example of e-commerce website of this mobile phone. I can actually have the order, even the order that is completed and processed by, let's say, 2021 April. But that doesn't have to, all of that need not be done in one go. I can actually deliver the catalog in the next month, the selection of the items and ability to add that to the shopping cart by December. And then ability to pay online using my credit card by February, and ability to pay by my bank transfer or sending a check options by, let's say, June. So you're constantly adding value to the customer, but it's not done everything at one go. You're actually doing it step by step. And also you're trying to make any changes, any improvements that need to be done in a way that would help you shape the product better to suit their needs, because you're constantly engaging the customer. You're constantly getting their feedback. You're constantly getting how they want this product to work for them, right? So that is all the way. There is that bridge of communication between us and the customers and the users. And using that, we're actually trying to improve the product on a continuous basis. It's not just taking the requirements, like in the waterfall we were talking about, taking the requirements, spending like 1 month just to write the requirements, and then after about 1.5 years going to the customer saying, you know what, this is the product. They say, no, this is not what we wanted. So that's the beauty of Agile. So that's the fantastic value that Agile offers compared to a waterfall mode. And here the requirements, we're talking about the requirements about my experience of working with the waterfall, spending a good 1.5 months, 2 months just to write a requirement document we call as FRS, functional requirement specification document, going through hundreds and hundreds of pages. And then that goes through a lot of iterations, reviews, and then sign off happening after 3 months. No, in Agile, it's not the case. You can actually write in the back of a card. We were talking about the back of the cards and the planning poker and the index cards, right? You can actually write on the back of this. That's what is Agile all about. In fact, that's the origin of user story. It should be small enough to be written on the back of, the requirement should be small enough to be written on the back of this card type. As a user, I should be able to do this so I get this benefit. As a customer, I should be able to add or select an item so that it can be added to my shopping cart or basket. Simple. As an administrator, I should be able to see the shopping basket of a customer after they finish the order so I can process it. So you're actually thinking from the point of view of user, you're writing, this is a requirement, that's all. This is how they started the user stories concept. And from there on, obviously, we're not using the physical index cards anymore, but we're using the Jira and these kind of tools, Trello and Jira and TFS to actually kind of add those detailing later. But that's how small, how quick I can write a requirement, and I can actually almost get it instantaneous sign off from the customer, because I can actually show it to the customer then and there. Once I write it, I say @Paul or Robert @, please review this. Are you happy? And he gets an instant notification then and there. And he actually looks at it. No, I don't think you need to add this one here. It's not the entire cart. They should be able to add multiple items. So say the user should be, as a user, as a customer, I should be able to add multiple items to the cart. So that's a change in the functionality. He writes that in the user story. And then he says, yeah, that's good to go. And then that's done almost in an hour's time. And this is compared to, let's say, 2 or 3 months of the effort that is spent in just getting the bunch of requirements. And we're really talking about loads of requirements. Nobody, to be honest, I'm again being a bit more controversial here. Not many people, including technical team, that is developers or architects, would like to read documents. Yeah, they hate documents. They hate documents. They hate meetings, spending loads and loads of time in meetings. Take it from me. This is my experience working in the IT industry for 20 years. I've seen that. Please do not thrust these 300, 400 page requirements document on the face of the development team and ask them to go through. They would not read a single line in that. And also the same with the meetings. Don't push or schedule meetings for the developers and the technical team and the technical architects to come and discuss the business functionality for hours and hours and hours. They hate it. They hate meetings. They hate documentation. Okay, so that's a bit controversial, but that's my understanding. So in which case, show this story to them. And the first thing, it's a 3-line requirement document. They understand it. And then they talk about, that's the 3 C's we were talking about, right? The card, the conversation, and the confirmation of a user story. So you encourage the conversation. They talk about, and then they discuss. It's just a discussion around 4-5 chairs pulled together. They say, hey, I think we've got the card there. We've got the functionality. But hold on, I think now the requirement says not just one item. So I should be able to add one more item to the card. So if that is the case, we need to store that object in some place. Let's say a temporary place of the items. So let's say temporary cart or something where you add items, 1 item, 2 item, 3 items, like a recursive iterative one. Okay, I think that works. So in which case there should be a way to stop that. We can't just add infinite number of items. You should be having some limit there. Should we restrict the order of the cart to 5, 10, 15? So here, what is happening here? I'm actually discussing, I'm thinking aloud. So that think aloud of the developers and the backend team. And now the backend team comes, the database guy comes in, hey, hold on, I think we've got a problem with this because this item object cannot have more than, let's say, I'm just throwing something. It's like a Twitter having a character limit of 144, whatever, because of the fact that it's a technical limit. It's not because of business limit. It started there and then that continued, right? So there might be some constraint that the technology team, the backend team, the database team, or the front-end team says, oh, you know what, I think we should have another screen there to say, are you sure you're done with the adding of items? So the front-end UI guy, the UI developer might come and say, well, can we do it this way? So what we're doing here is a kind of conversation. You're encouraging the conversations, and then you have got the confirmation finally, and they're going to go ahead with the development. So the prioritization is actually, again, done by the team of the user stories, right? So you've got the team working on the estimation, as we discussed yesterday and day before. It's the team which does the estimation, team does the work, team does the delivery, team does the entire ownership of this product. It's not somebody else, not the customer, not the senior management, not somebody else outside. So the team collectively takes ownership and owns the delivery of this work. And that's why it actually could be done really relatively quicker than if it's otherwise. So the product increment is what we call. It's not a product, the final product. I'm not talking this whole e-commerce website would be ready by September, or I mean by November or December. What we're talking about is the e-commerce product, the whole of this website. We're going to deliver in phases. And the first one would be ready, the shopping cart, or the catalog would be ready by November. And then you should be able to add this whole thing by December. By February, you should be able to place the order. And then by April, you're able to purchase that using online, using the gateways, payment gateways like WorldPay. You can use a credit card. Sorry, you can just use credit card by April, but we're working on to add more modes of payment. And then by July, let's say, we can have bank transfers. We can have other check. You can send a check and then you can place an order. See, you're trying to actually incrementally add value. It's not just at one big bang. So that's the beauty of, again, Agile. So we are trying to talk about a 2 to 3 week roughly average. Again, that depends. It could be 1 week to 4 weeks is what Scrum says. So depending on the time box, the size of the time box, we are actually delivering this in phases. And that's what it's called, iteration or a sprint in Scrum methodology. We're going to discuss these in detail later. So the point is, again, what is it that we're trying to do here? We're actually trying to take the challenge that is posed by change. Every change poses challenges. And as I say, we humans are averse to change. We are animals of habit. We actually get to love our habits. It's so hard for us as human beings to accept change, whatever change it is, whether it is instead of getting up and brushing your teeth, try doing something else in the first place. For example, going to work without brushing your teeth, or doing something which is what your habit. Can you do that? You cannot. It's so hard to break a habit. Again, the same thing. It's so hard to make a habit. So what is it that we're trying to do? And change is the thing that actually tries and breaks your habit, breaks your routine. So what happens then is it could be in the way that you do things. It could be the processes. It could be the workflow. It could be, for example, we never thought about searching before so beautifully. I mean, by Google search engine, it came through about 15 years ago, and then they actually changed the habit of navigation completely. We never searched for anything before that. I mean, we were actually browsing. We click, 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 click. So to get to a particular product on the website right now, for example, now you go to Amazon or eBay and you search. First thing you open that and you say search. You say paintbrush, you say on the search box. You're not going to go to all the way. I mean, I'm just talking about the typical average user. You still can go to all the home, and then from there hardware. From the hardware you say a decor. From the decor you click the decor, and then you actually get equipment, and from equipment you say brushes, and then you say then you get to click on the brush or the roller there. So you can actually go click, click, click. Even now, that's a browse thing. So you give the option for some users who still prefer to do that. But primarily, your products have been geared to actually kind of accommodate searchability, right? So you go and type in paintbrush, and then you get options, and then you go through, you filter, you sort, and then you click on the first or second or fourth of the search results, right? So it changed your behavior. So to be able to change the behavior of people, it takes a long, long time. It's a really, really difficult thing. But then it's important that we accept this. We need to change because it is inevitable, whether it is in the habits, with the lifestyle, with the technologies, with the way we work. Like we're working from home online now, right? We're all working online now. We're having this conference, this kind of conference call facility where you can see me here. Instead of actually, get into a hotel room like before. It takes so much of struggle to actually find the hotel room for us, or even to look at the options of that, book it, and then you have got to travel all the way. But now we are actually having this kind of conversation, almost, it's more one way now, but I hope it will be two way sooner, where you can actually kind of engage in a conversation, you ask questions, we can have this discussion here, me sitting in my room and you sitting in your own house. That's changed, that's happened. You got to adjust yourself to that. You can't just say, no, I would still like to have face-to-face meeting. Yes, people still do that. People still like to have face-to-face meetings. Perhaps even now, a lot of work can get done better with meeting people face-to-face or a cup of coffee and then talking and discussing, seeing them eyeball to eyeball, as what we say. But is that the only way? Is that the only way that we do all the work? Not necessary. We can still do a lot of things like this, for example, online. So why not use that? And that's the important thing. It is inevitable. Change is inevitable. You see the technology, the huge technology landscape, the change happened from browsing to searching, from PCs, from the huge machines of IBM that we were discussing the other day, that occupied a whole room, to that of a PC, a personal computer, from that of a desktop, from that to a laptop, and now from that to a mobile phone, and perhaps to the wearable devices. What we're talking about is change. It's exploding. We can't resist. We can't just say, you know what, I'm still happy with my desktop. I don't want to use a mobile phone. Fair enough. There's still some minority of people who do that. But why do you want to fight change? If you want to go along quickly, you might as well, this packs a punch. This phone that you have in your hand now, it packs a punch. It has got more power and more processing power, more memory than your PC 3 years ago. It has got a good, I don't want to sell about the mobile phone, but the whole idea is that let's not fight change. Let's try and adapt ourselves to change. Let's try and manage the change better. So in that context, the same in the IT context, for example, you still can work in COBOL, you can work in mainframes, you can work in those big computers and things like that. But the world moved on in technology. More so in technology, it changes so rapidly There's so many advances in the front end, in the back end. From the SQL, Oracle, we've got DB2 previous in the database, IBM, then from there, AS400, from there, all these, fantastic DBase, 3+, and all those things, technologies. Now we moved on from there to the SQL, Microsoft SQL, about 20 years ago. From the SQL, we have got Oracle, the enterprise, big, huge enterprise ones. And then from there, what we have now is a NoSQL. We've got these kind of what we call as NoSQL databases where entities are managed. It's not relational databases. It's not relational. It's all driven by the objects. You can put anything there. It doesn't expect you to be of a fixed format, fixed row, fixed field. Anything, you can chuck anything in there. You can chuck images, videos, audio podcasts. You can chuck text content. You can chuck anything in the database. It would kind of, with some intelligence of its own, apply its own parameters and tag them accordingly. The mark logics and the XML based kind of things like MongoDB, Mongo database. So we are actually seeing a huge shift in the technologies as well. We can't just fight saying that I still want to be AS400 is best, I still want to do that. Fair enough, good luck to you. So in that context, we need to adapt ourselves, and Agile is the only way to go. Agile gives you the toolkit that kind of, it has got the right techniques, right methods, right approaches, all the best that you can try and use to make sure that you accept the change, to understand the change, to be able to prepare yourself to respond to the change better. And that's why Agile is the only way to go.